lahat ng grade 11 at nandito na naman po ako sa inyo para mag-discuss ng tungkol sa topic na areas of sociology. Areas of sociology is about 11 of them, but I only choose 5 in order for us to discuss and to make things faster out. I choose only the most important from my point of view. What is sociology actually? It is a broad and diverse field. Malawak kung talagang sasaliksikin natin. It has many different topics and fields. Maraming iba't iba. Some are relatively new. Here are some of the main areas of research. Main areas of research and application within the field of sociology. Now, the first of course is the globalization, which is hindi ko masabing new because ng panahon pa lang ng mga Khan sa Mongolia, globalization is already a part and parcel of their life. Hindi lang nila tinatawag na globalization yun noon. It focuses on the political, economic, and cultural aspects and implications of a globally integrated society. Tatlong bahagi ng buhay ng mga tao ang nasasakop nito: politika, ekonomiya, at saka kultura. The sociologists focus on the way capitalism and consumer goods connect people all over the world. Paano ang nangyayari ginagawa ng capitalism at saka consumer? Paano ito nagko-connect sa mga tao sa daigdig? Migration flows and issues of inequality to global society. Yan po magiging topic ng globalization. Race and ethnicity is number 2. Sociology of race and ethnicity examines the social, political, and economic relations between races and ethnicities at all levels of society. Political, social, and economic naman. Medyo nakalimutan yung tinatawag nating cultural, pero still malawak pa rin. The topics commonly discussed are racism, residential segregation, and the differences in social processes in between racial and ethnic group. Ano po yung residential segregation? Let me take a look at the situation in South Africa in the 70s up to early 80s. Kasi kapag sinabing residential segregation between races and ethnic groups, literal pong pinaghihiwalay ng kanilang gobyerno na mga puti ang bumubuo ang tirahan ng mga itim at saka ng mga puti. Ito'y tirahan ng mga puti at dito naman ang mga itim. Never silang nagkakasama. They are segregated by their skin color, their race. So, yun po ay issue sa kanila noon. Areas of sociology part 2. The family. The sociology of family examines many things, and such are the marriage, their divorce, their child rearing, their domestic abuse. 4 na iba't iba. Nagsisimula pa lang sa marriage, natapos na kagad sa divorce, and everything in between. Yun po ang pinag-aaralan sa family. They study how these aspects of the family are defined in different cultures. Ano po bang kahulugan nito sa iba't ibang kultura, sa iba't ibang panahon, and how they affect the individuals and institutions. The social inequalities po ang sunod, number 4. The study of social inequality examines the unequal distribution of power, the privilege, and prestige. 3 lang po, pero bakit hindi pantay ang bigay nito sa mga tao? They study the differences and inequalities in social class, the race, and gender. And of course, the last but not the least, the health and illness. Sociologists who study health and illness focus on the social effects of the societal attitudes towards illness, diseases, disabilities, and aging process. Tandaan po natin ang pinag-aaralan ng sociology tungkol sa health at illness ay yung social attitude. Paano tayo nakikitungo sa mga may sakit na ito? It is different from how the doctors and the hospitals and the clinics deal with them. Magkaiba po yun. Kasi sa sociology po ay attitude ng mga tao sa may sakit. Of course, sa mga doktor ay ang pagpapagaling nila. Symbolic Interactionism Part 1. It is a major framework of sociological theory. The perspective relies on the symbolic meaning people develop and rely on the process of social interactions. Yung mga symbolic meaning, mga symbols, mga pagkahulugan ng mga tao. Halimbawa po, kapag isang baby, wala pang 1 taon, bigyan man siya ng bulaklak, ang baby girl, bigyan man siya ng bulaklak ng isang baby boy, so what? Anong pagkahulugan niya doon? Definitely po, wala. Wala pa siyang isip eh. Pero sa baby boy, kung magbibigay naman siya, anong pagkahulugan niya? Wala lang. Basta magbigay lang kasi ang bulaklak naman talaga po ay maganda. So, receiving and giving flowers from the boy to the girl is an issue na wala pa sa mga baby. But as you grow up to be a teenager like you, sa mga kaedaran nyo, and even to the people like me in my age, kapag nagbigay si boy ng flowers kay girl, it means something. And of course, you know that something is very nice to look at and to feel at. Maganda po ang pagkahulugan nun. It may mean something very nice and the feeling is different from varies from the color of the flower and the type of flower that you're giving. Although symbolic interactionism traces its origin to Max Weber's assertion that individuals act according to their interpretation of the meaning of the world. In other words, action follows meaning. So, ganito po ang ibig sabihin. May meaning muna. At ang meaning ay naiset na ng society. Kapag nakaset ng meaning nito sa society, kumilos ka, therefore, may action ka tungkol sa pagkahulugan ng mga tao. Kung ano man po yon. Ang naging example po dito ay simple lang na pagbibigay ng bulaklak from the boy to the girl, and certainly sa culture natin, bibihira ang girl ang nagbibigay ng flower sa boy. Medyo awkward po yon. Symbolic Interactions Part 2, Interactionism. In the book entitled Mind, Self, and Society, the author Mead, yung pangalan, ang apelyido ng tao ay si Mead, M-E-A-D, theorized that difference between I and me. Ano po ba ang pagkakaiba ng word na I sa word na me? Aside from the spelling, of course. May magtatanong na isang tao, sino po ang kumain nito? Who ate this one? How shall I answer it? Shall I answer I or shall I answer me? What is the difference between the two? Kasi noon may nagtuturo sa akin na you will say I. But some others say, you will say me. Hindi ko maintindihan kung sino susundin ko sa kanila. But here, nagbigay siya ng definition between the I and the me. I is the self as the active, breathing, and thinking subject in society. Meaning, the I is ako mismo yon, yung tao. Si Mr. Hill B. Ginto. Ako po yon. It is I, Hill Ginto. But when you say me, it is the accumulation of knowledge of how that self as an object is perceived by others. Yung si me ay kung anong tingin nyo sa akin. Yun po ang pagkakaiba ng dalawa. So still, sa may definition na po dito, hindi ko pa rin alam kung paano ko sasagutin ang sino ang kumain nito. Shall I say I or shall I say me? But there is a meaning here. Kung ano po ang pagkakaiba ng I sa me. Thus, theory directly influences our actions as individuals and as groups is where symbolic interactions emerge. Mga symbolisms, mga interactions ng mga tao, dyan po lumilitaw. In that sense, makikita natin yung mga symbolic interactions between people. Symbolic interactionism analyzes society by addressing the subjective meanings that people impose on objects. It's not objective, it is subjective. that people impose on objects, events, and behaviors. Thus, society is thought to be socially constructed through human interpretations. Yung mga pagkahulugan ng mga tao. People interpret one another's behavior, and it is these interpretations that forms a social bond. Yun po ang bumubuo sa atin bilang isang society. Yung mga interpretation ng mga tao. Symbolic interactionism, why would people smoke? Kung sino man po ang mga estudyante ko sa grade 11 na naninigarilyo, probably you can text me your answer. Why do you smoke? Huwag kayong mag-alala kung sasagot kayo sa akin through PM. Hindi ko ibubulgar yan, pero bigyan nyo ko ng dahilan bakit kayo naninigarilyo. Because I had already asked some people before and they cannot give me a specific answer. Each person has his own answer kung bakit sila naninigarilyo. While in fact, they know that from the medical point of view, objective na sagot, smoking is dangerous to your health. Alam po lang ng lahat ng tao yon. The answer is in the definition of the situation that people create. Kung ano po ang pinakakahulugan ng mga tao. They knew the effects of smoking. Alam naman po ninyo kung ano ang epekto noon. And I saw some people na heavy smoker and lahat sila nagkaroon ng lung problem. I know of some na mayroong nagkaroon ng sakit. And so, you just tell me why do people smoke from your point of view. Pero yung iba nagsasabi, may nasumagot na sa akin na mas macho ka kapag naninigarilyo ka. Wow, is that so? Ang babaw naman. And the next, of course, is one shocking example of how theoretical concept plays out within the social construct of race is manifested in the fact that many people, regardless of race, believe that lighter-skinned blacks are smarter than the darker counterpart. Ganon, yung sa pagitan ng dalawang negro, sa pagitan ng maitim at mas maitim, mas smarter yung lighter ang color. Is that so? Naniniwala kayo doon? Ako hindi. The phenomenon occurred because of the racist stereotype. Trademark na lang nila yon. Na mas dark ang color mo, mas lighter ang color mo, mas matalino ka. Parang hindi ko matanggap yon. Has been encoded in the skin color, the symbol over the centuries na naging ganun yon. Anong tawag nila doon? Racist stereotype. Branded na lang na ganun. Pero still, I don't believe it. Wala akong makitang scientific basis doon. Symbolic interactions pa rin, interactionism. Si Herbert Blumer po, I just don't know if my pronunciation is right, wrote a book and published it entitled Symbolic Interactionism. In this, he laid out three basic principles of his theory. 1. We act toward people and things based on the meaning we interpret from them. Kung anong nai-interpret natin mula sa kanila. Yun po ang ating pinakakahulugan. Those meanings are the product of social interactions between people. Naging produkto na lang yun, resulta ng interaction sa pagitan ng mga tao, which was passed on from the lolos to the anaks to the apos, etc., etc. Nagpatuloy na lang po yun. Meaning making and understanding is an ongoing interpretive process during which the initial meaning might remain the same. Pwedeng nanatili yon, evolve slightly, nagbago ng konti, or change radically. Merong mga ilang words na talagang Tagalog na, yung makalumang Tagalog, hindi ko na maintindihan ngayon. Yung mga Tagalog noong pa nila lolo't lola. So, merong ilang Tagalog noong panahon ng Espanyol na kapag ginamit mo pa ngayon, di mo na alam kung ano yon. Sometimes we hear from Florante at Laura na mga salitang di ko na alam kung ano sa panahon ngayon. Naghahanap pa ako ng Tagalog dictionary. Meron pa ako na rinig na something Santing is Tagalog word, but I thought it was a Kapampangan word na santing or masanting. Kapag sinabi mong Kapampangan word na masanting or santing is maganda, guwapo. Pero it's a Tagalog, it's not guwapo per se. Noong malaman ko hamigit na isang taon, santing is low tide. It is not high tide, it's low tide. So nagbabago ang pagkahulugan minsan. From the first generation na nagsimula ang salita hanggang sa panahon ninyo ngayon. Structural Functionalism Part 1. Bago na naman po ito. Structural Functionalism views society as a system of interconnected units that work together as a whole to produce a state of stability and order. Meaning, paumpisan ko na, lahat ng bagay magkakaugnay. Everything is interrelated. To illustrate, let's compare the society to a human body. The human body has its parts, internal and external. If one malfunctions, the others are to be affected too. So kung halimbawa sa ngayon masakit ang head ko, I have a headache. Alangan naman si head lang ang magiging masakit. Diba? Pati yung kamay ko apektado, pati yung pagkilos ko apektado because interconnected po yun eh. Ang isang katawan ng tayo kumikilos bilang isang buo. Pag isa'y mali, mali ng lahat. So, society is composed of interrelated units or parts. Each, be it an institution, roles, norms, etc., has its specific function to play and its outputs serve as inputs to other units. Kung sa atin, ang output ko na ginagawa ako ngayon na tinuturo ko sa inyo, input ninyo. Ang inilalabas ko, tatanggapin nyo naman. So, this is how the society works. It's like an orchestra na iba't ibang musical instrument sabay-sabay nagtutugtog, pero kapag sumintonado yung isa, sira ng lahat. Siyempre, hindi matatanggap ng conductor yon. Babaguhin niya yun, aayusin niya yon habang nagpa-practice pa lang. However, when one of the musician, ayun, nandun na po, na topic ko na po yun, kapag sumintonado yung isa, wala na po ang lahat. Structural Functionalism Part 2. To understand the structural functionalism, the social structure needs to be understood. Para maintindihan mo yung structural functionalism, kailangan alam mo yung social structure. Kung ano yon. Si Murdoch po has shown the family as a unit of social structure. The basic unit, in fact, pinakamaliit. That's the family. Pero malaki ang influensya po ng family sa ating culture, which is the next, as a product of interactions in society, both material and non-material. Mula sa family, gagawin tayo sa culture at mauuwi na tayo sa mga sistema. Economic system, the legal system, political system, cultural system, and so on and so forth are also part of a social structure. It includes family, education, religion, and social services, lahat po sa pangkabuuan. The political system affects not only individual political environment, but also certain legal system, regulations of violence, property, trade laws, and health care, etc., etc. Sa political system, alangan naman po yung violence lang titingnan ninyo. O yung legal system, siyempre po lahat ng may kinalaman sa pamamahala ng gobyerno. Lahat po yun magkakaugnay. When one of these does not function the way it should be, the rest are affected. Yun po ang pinakahuli. Home activity na po tayo. Read pages 64 to 67 and answer the following questions. Number 1, what is diversity? And number 2, what is physical geography? And what are the scope of physical geography? God bless and have a nice day po sa lahat. And have a nice day ulit.